Hello there and welcome. My name's Fiona from Weekly Sewing Bee, and yes, today I'm going to make a very simple off the shoulder dress with this fabric, and the length of it is going to be decided by what cloth I've got left. So I've got my block pattern out, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure the block pattern, fold it in half, and then I'm going to trim it. And we're going to put a little pleat in the skirt. Okay, so it's very, very simple. Very, very simple. So I've got this folded over on my block pattern, and I'm going to copy this green line. Now this green line will be the back of a traditional top, and then I'm going to cut that up. Oh, and down the side is going to be attached by a zip. So, I've got the back, as it were, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to follow the neckline, and then I'm going to take it down to just below the armpit. Now, I do need some movement around the armpit, but probably not that much, so it's going to come in more like a ski slope. Yeah, and then literally it's going to be the same at the back as it is at the front. And then the skirt, which is easy enough, so I can probably take that in a bit. Okay, so I need to cut this out. I also need some way of lining it so that I can sew it. Now I have got some stretch fabric, some white stretch fabric, and that will probably work. What you don't want to have is anything showing through, and if it shows through just at the top or anything, then it should be clean white, I suppose, or a contrasting colour. Yeah, now a bright colour wouldn't look good against that, so I think we're just going to go for white. Alright, I'll get my bits cut out and then I'll be back with you. And yeah, thank you for watching. Hello there. Now I have my pieces here, and I have my skirt, and I have all my leftover bits here so that I can do a practice sew. Now I've not sewn this before, so I'm not too worried about it going through the overlocker, but really no problem there. But I think it might be a bit difficult in the sewing machine. So probably not a fair test. I did have enough fabric to do the lining in the same fabric, so that makes life a tad easier. Yeah, there's me thinking I've got the machine all set up. Let's make sure my things aren't caught up. And let's see what this sews like. Doesn't seem too bad, does it? So it does get a bit complicated because I need to sew the arms, and I need them right side together. So I need to sew the armholes, as it were. Only looks confusing because I'm using the same material as the lining. There we go. I need to sew the other arm together so that I can turn it inside out. I need to sew the swoopy line together so I can turn it inside out, and the same on the other. And then I need to sew all of them together. Okay, I'm just going to rethread the machine. I obviously upset it somehow, and I'll be back in a moment. Lovely. So, what we've got here, and then I'm going to turn them inside out. And turn it inside out. Sorry, you can't see it when I do it on my knee. It's a bad habit. And there we are. Now all I need to do is make sure that I've got all 4 bits of cloth and they're tight towards here, and then I'm going to sew. And then I'm going to sew. Now I'm going to leave one side completely out of the sewing thing, because that's where I'm going to put my zip, so I'm not going to worry about that. And believe it or not, that's pretty much the top done, excluding the zip. Now what I might need to do is, when I'm trying it on, I might need to put a dart in the bust, but we can come to that when the time comes. So, and that's what it would look like on. Sorry, give myself a little scare then. And this is the bottom, obviously. Okay, so I'm putting that to one side and I'm going to do the skirt. Now I have 2 rectangles here, and all they need is joining together. Although I am going to leave a certain amount at the top of one, and this is purely to put the zip in. Bring the other 2 round. I'm going to start at, if that makes sense, the bottom, because it just makes life easier, and then I'm going to come in. Now the reason I always start at the same size is that if there is any push on the fabric, then I am not going to end up with a diagonal. Lovely, so that's my skirt done. I know. And I'll just trim that there. So, what I need to do now is very simply so this is going to be the right side of my top. And I need it to face the right side of my skirt. So it's both wrong side to wrong side. Now I've picked the seam of the one with the arm in, and I have my needles here, my pins, sorry, and I'm going to pin it. But I'm going to pin it from the side of the skirt because I find it easier to do the gathers from the skirt side. Okay, so that's one pin in. Now I'm going to move completely across to the other hem, the other side hem. Now I'm going to give myself a certain amount of room for my zip, and I'm going to pull the other bit across as well. Do you know, I'm wishing that I did it in random taffeta pieces now, just to make it clear for the video. And I could have done, you know, I have so many different bits of sort of satin and taffeta here. Okay, so now I'm going to estimate the middle of the skirt, estimate the middle of the top, and join those two together, and I'm going to put a pin in. Now it really depends on you how many pins you feel the need to put in. Now I'm very happy gathering, I really am. I don't use any tools, I don't adjust the equipment or anything. All I do is push in an inch of the top fabric when I sew a centimetre of the bottom fabric. That's probably the easiest way to describe it. Obviously it's not quite that simple because it's not that perfect a maths question. I have decided how much to do my skirt by, how much fabric I actually had. So yes, get yourself all comfortable and sorted. Find the end which you begin at, which is always the other end. And why is that so weird? I must have put that pin in wrong, which is fine. Okay, sorry, just bear with me. I'm always one for not starting till I'm fully ready. And if that means I've got to faff around a bit, then that means I've got to faff around a bit. So, now I've got myself in order. I have the top of the dress at the bottom, and I have my skirt which I'm going to gather at the top, and I'm going to lay these across. I'm just double checking that I'm not turned it round so I am inside out. Okay, yeah, I'm going to get the sewing machine to start, and then I'm going to come up to my next pin. I'm going to hold the top, the bottom, the top. I'm going to hold the bodice of the dress firmly, and I'm going to just push tiny amounts of extra fabric into the teeth of the machine. So I'm going nice and slowly. It's trimming it all the way. I am checking that I have the back of the bodice as well. And I'm also checking that I've not got anything caught up. So I'm coming up to a pin, getting rid of the pin, and then I'm carrying on sewing. Never too much in one little mouthful. But, you know, I'm slowly getting rid of this excess. And there's that much each ache. So I'm just lying the bodice back down properly. When I've actually finished this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go round and check that I've caught all 3 pieces of fabric. So now it's going to be quite a full skirt this, and it's going to be just above knee length, but I presumed I had 1.5 meters of fabric, but I think actually I have 2 meters, so yeah. Okay, so keep that out of the way, and it literally is. Every centimetre or so, I push in 1 inch of fabric. I can keep the bottom one quite far up, so it doesn't naturally pull. And if I get to the end and I've still got excess amount of fabric, what I will do is I will retrim my skirt, because it's just another line of stitches, isn't it? And I am coming to the end now. Lovely. So let's have a look, just double check that we've got it the right way round. So, and that our puckers look even. So yes. So yeah, they're not exactly balanced, but they're okay. Okay, so the next job is the zip. Alright. Hey, yeah. Okay, so we're done, really. Nothing to do. I just wanted to grab a scrap and see what this sews like on a sewing machine. Because I do, you know, satin has a reputation for being difficult. And, yeah, it's best to know. So, but I seem to be sewing okay. I do have the advantage on this sewing machine that it has quite a powerful engine, and that does make the difference. So all I have to do now is I have to run round and just do the hem. And I knew that I had a little bit of trimming that I had to do, so I know you didn't see that. Okay, so I'm going to fold it once, I'm going to fold it twice. I'm going to start on a seam, and then I'll see what it goes like. If I need to pin it, then I do need to pin it, and if it twists, and if it might need interfacing as well. So, but you know, we won't accuse it of needing anything until we've given it a good hearty go. Alright. So is that twisting? It seems to be okay. Okay, I'm just coming up to the last half now, and then I'll give it a good shake, and then, you know, we'll be able to tell then whether we need to worry. I think actually it's sewing fine, and I was a bit worried about the colour match with the cotton, because turquoise can be quite difficult. If it's got too much green in it, then it can clash and everything else like that. But I did buy the thread at the same time, so. And you've got to love turquoise. Okay, so that's the hem at the bottom done, which was, if I can honestly say, the thing that I was concerned about. So, just put that to the side, turn it the right way around, and I must admit, it is taking shape, very much so. Now the zip, oh the zip. Okay, if I was making this and you guys weren't watching, I would actually run a line of overlocker just along that seam to make life easier. I really would, because if it would just keep it all tidy. But I know we must continue on, mustn't we? Okay, so I'm going to need my sewing machine. And I need my zip, which I know I have here. Oh, life is cold. Okay, I'm going to switch the camera off. Hiya. Okay. So I have my dress here all but complete except for a zip. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lie it right side up with the zip facing down. Now if you have a zipper foot, then yay, that's grand. If you don't, well, it can be done, but it can get a bit tricky. Now, because we're working with 3 different bits of fabric, you can see why I would say, you know, if you can overlock it, just run it down and then you can have a fighting chance. Obviously, I work on the theory that not everybody has an overlocker, so it's wrong to assume. Now this is a concealed zip. Oh, I did not know that. I was going shopping tomorrow, you see, and I was just thinking it might be an idea to get a concealed zip, because I never normally do them. Okay, now depending on your sewing machine, you really need to get as close to that zip as you can. Just makes it so much tidier. I'm just doing a couple of stitches and then I'm going to fold over that top bit there. Okay, I'm going to help it over the seam because obviously that's a glue seam, so it's a bit trickier. Okay, I've got it just sewing now, it's not doing anything else, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew till I'm a good halfway down. I'm going to leave the needle down and then I'm going to just close this zip. Now it's tricky, I'm not going to deny it, it's a fiddly thing, but it just makes it a lot smoother line. So I'm going to adjust it all now because it's and away I go. So I'm just coming to the end of the hole, as it were. I'm going to take that out. I'm going to just check that and then I'm going to open it up again just halfway and then bring it over so that I'm sewing the right side on the dress. So right side to right side. Now, pretty important thing to do is just give that a little tug and a shake to check that they're all lined up. And with your fingers just push this seam out because you want it to be out and ready. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew this way rather than sew from the bottom up. Now there's a lot to be said from sewing from the bottom up because you know that it's actually going to join. So it's just complaining as it's going over the glue, and that literally is the end of the zip. So what I'll do is just adjust it slightly and lift the needle up to do so, so that it doesn't hit it again. Okay. And there we are sewing now, so I can get it moving, as it were. So now I'm coming down. It's a lot easier this side because of the needles this side. This machine does a lot of things, but it doesn't have an adjustable needle. And a lot of the newer machines you do. So down again. I'm going to take it up and I'm going to close this zip. So yeah, I'm going to take the weight of the dress, and this time I'll be doing it blind. I can actually swing this round quite easily so that I can get that out. So now that the zip's closed, I can carry on to the bottom. What I'm just doing here is, before I get there, I'm tucking the zip out so that it's on the outside, which would be on the inside of the dress because we're already inside out. Okay, so coming down completely and a couple of reverse stitches, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it the right way round, and then I'm going to close the zip, and what I'm going to do is just do a couple of stitches, not close to the zip but at the end of the zip, so that I know I'm not going over any teeth or anything, but I'm just keeping this close, and There we go. So, you know, it makes a little bit of a banging noise when it's going over the glue, as it were. And I can take that out now. But I know that that is now secure. Secure, but a bit of a mess. So we have choices. We can go back to the back. And we can zigzag along there, and we can actually trim all these loose ends, because you're not going to get it very tidy with now, to do a zigzag you need to change the foot, or you can just run along there and get it nice and poopy. Okay, so I'm going to change my foot and I'm going to do that, and that way I can 100% keep it as tidy as possible. I'm just going to trim these fray edges off as well, not trim the zip end off or anything. Okay, so got rid of that foot. Oh, I should say that it's got like a double one here, so if I wanted to put it in half, if I had a needle that could move, or I could put it on the left or I could put it on the right. So now I've got this end and I'm on my normal foot, I can get it down as close as I can and just tidy it up as best I can. Because as you know, the rest of the dress is perfect on the inside because we've double seamed it and everything. I'm just going over the top of the zip. I really want to keep that down. Just going over that seam there. Oh. Okay, so trimming away, just keeping it tidy. Loose threads as well, always a bit of a nightmare. And we have a concealed zip and a finished garment. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to try it on, and then I'm going to see whether I need to do a little dart. Okay. Hey, yeah. Okay, I know. You would have thought I'd have got the toupee tape out and done this job properly. So we can see that I do need to have just a little dart here. Now what I'm going to do is very carefully mark this with a pin, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark from one point to another. Now if you're going to take a lot of cloth in, then you may need to do it, sort of deconstruct it and do it under. But because all I need to do is take an inch of fabric and take it 2 inches in, what I'm going to do is turn the dress inside out again and do a line across there. So yes, other than that, it's all finished. Well, it's been lovely having you here this afternoon. My name's Fiona from Weekly Sewing Bee. Hey, I will show you the sewing of that. I just didn't want to take the dress off, even though I'm fully clothed, on the video, because somebody's going to go to some mad great aunt of mine. Oh, I saw Fiona taking her clothes off. Okay, so we've got the pins there, and you know, they're really well done by accident. I've got them at the right angle and everything. And all I'm going to do from the back, my hand is at the back of the dress, take the 2 pins out, get it in a position where I can sew it under the sewing machine. And I know that all I need to do is just do 2 inches of straight stitching. 2 inches, maybe 3. And I only have to do this at the front, because believe it or not, that's the only bit that has bits that need to be curved round. Okay. Let's turn it round again. And you can just see that there's a dart there. And sometimes when I'm sewing dresses, especially for people my shape, is I do dummy darts because they don't need them, but it does give it that tailored look. Okay, so a little off the shoulder and satin dress. So don't be scared of this fabric, it really hasn't given me any problems. It's a standard sewing machine. Okay, it's got quite a large motor, but you know, I haven't done anything special. I haven't put a thin needle in or anything. So yeah, give it a go. I did it on an overlocker, but I'm sure it wouldn't be too difficult to do on a plain stitch sewing machine. Thank you so much for watching. My name's Fiona from Weekly Sewing Bee.